Drew Sutton Leadership Show, lighting the way with real leaders, real stories, and real impacts. Because when leaders stop growing, the darkness wins. All right, welcome to another amazing episode of the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. Today, we're going to be answering the question, what happens when small town comfort food meets big city culinary talent? To answer that question, we have Carrie Gabelson, the co-creator behind Soul on Main, a fresh new dining experience bringing elevated chef-driven meals to the heart of Nicholasville, Kentucky. With a passion for community, flavor, and creating a space people can feel at home, Carrie is redefining what everyday dining can look and taste like in a small town. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Carrie.
Thank you, Drew. Happy to be here.
Hey, Carrie, it's super fun to have you on the show. We did some work together, I think last year, and I got to front row seat to watch you build one of the coolest things happening in Kentucky these days. It's not a new battery plant. It's not a new factory. It's something much more important, which is a beautiful culinary experience, a non-franchised restaurant right in the downtown heart of Nicholasville, Kentucky. I think it's so cool.
Yes, thank you. Yes, you
All
were
right.
there for the early stressful days, so I'm sure we'll have some good stories to dive into.
Yes. All right. So as you know, I'm on this mission to keep local ownership local and to kind of redefine America, be the anti-private equity play, where we buy and hold businesses for the next generation to make sure that entry level opportunities are still there for the new generations. And you have such a cool story. CJ, your husband, the chef, the magic behind the culinary experience, and you, the operator extraordinaire. Why did you guys decide to start to build a restaurant instead of just sticking with the fine dining, which CJ was already a master and deeply recognized chef at? Why did you guys decide to break out on your own?
Yes, excellent question. So we wanted to go on this journey because we wanted a delicious place to eat in Nicholasville, was really point one.
Yes.
There are tons of great culinary places in and around central Kentucky, but Nicholasville was just a little bit behind the mark. So it was a crazy stream of events. We weren't even actually actively looking to change anything, but the stars aligned, as they say, and we fell into this beautiful location right on Main Street. It is a super old building with great history, and we just really breathed some fresh air into it, brought it back to life, and we're so happy with the result of the ambiance on top of the delicious food that we get to serve every day.
So you say you breathed some new life into the place. I don't recall that being quite the experience.
You
Tell me
don't?
some of well, I mean, certainly it is a breath of fresh air now, but you had some heavy overhaul to do. Tell me about some of the things that you love about the restaurant and why you chose to birth those things.
Yes. Well, some things that we love. One is the food. My husband is, you said magical earlier, and that truly is. He's a magician when it comes to the kitchen. I'm very lucky and very smart woman to marry a chef. Um, I have to do the dishes, but he cooks the food. So it's a good partnership.
That's not a bad
But the
partnership.
building that we came across was very old, neglected, just had really, the previous owners had aged and things just weren't kept up with how they should have been. So it was a complete electrical rewire of the building
Oh
because everything
gosh.
was so dated it wouldn't have passed code. We had overhauled the walls, we redid the bathrooms just to make it make a little more sense for a dining establishment. And we had some fantastic carpenters come in and they built us a beautiful bar. And we have this great bench seating along a true brick wall that, there were just some gems of the building that we came across that we wanted to highlight, the brick wall being one. And there's these incredible beams that are original structure to the building that was covered by a drop ceiling. So when we were doing our investigation of the place and banging down walls and exposing some things, we were able to see these incredible beams that we just were like, Patricia, why would you cover these up? You know, it was just, we have to expose this. This is so cool. I'm a history buff, so I love how we got to now and the stories that come along and the struggles and successes of just how did this building get to be here. So through the history, we've learned that it was a movie theater. We don't have any physical artifacts from the movie theater, but the upstairs was basically storage for the last 100 years. I don't even know. And so we found, after it was a movie theater, it was a pharmacy. So we have some glass amber bottles and some things that we worked into the decor. It was a department store. We have some shoe fitting stools that are also on display. So just really like getting into the space, listening to the space, and realizing that we've been entrusted with it and that it does need to be a part of the community for the community to love. And so we thought that working those special touches into the current state was important.
I love that. So this is one of the reasons that I think that we need to focus on Main Street businesses so much. Um, what life would be completely different if we all knew we had to come back to the same storefront in 50 or 75 years. I think that we would buy a lot less Walmarts. And now I shop at Walmart, I shop at Costco. Like there's nothing wrong with a big box store. But that physical piece of real estate, downtown Nicholasville, has been there for a long time. It's gone through lots of iterations. And it will be there long after you guys have left. Hopefully that's, in 50 or 60 years here.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think that I love what you said, that it's a treasure that you've been entrusted with, that it's not just this piece of land that you get to extract value from, though it certainly will provide you value. But it's a piece of history that you're living inside of, and that you get to define this next era of that little piece of land. I think that's super cool. Let's talk a little bit about your culinary. I realize that CJ is the wizard here. I got the pleasure of having a delicious pork chop. Like I was telling you kind of in the green room before the show, an inappropriately tasty pork chop for a lunch on a Wednesday. I was like, this is the best pork chop I've ever had. It was fat. It was seasoned well. There was some caramelization, the flavor palette. You had some sweet, you had some crunchy, you had some warm, you had some cool. It was just so well done. And I asked my friend he actually taken this as a to-go plate. And he was like, yeah, I can't, I'm kind of running behind. Do you mind if I pick you up something? I was like, yeah, sure. Give me whatever you're getting. And I said, where'd you get this from? This is delicious. And he said, Soul on Main. I was like, oh my goodness, I know them. And all right. So talk to me through CJ. Is he one of those prolific artists that like every day wants to make something new? Or does he have his like kind of his niches? He's like, yep, this is what I make. I love making these things. I'm going to perfect this recipe.
Yes. Oh, my husband, I love him so much. And he was a lucky guy in that he discovered at a very young age that he loved food and was fascinated by food. He executed his first Thanksgiving meal when he was like 12, 13, 14, like very young. He made Thanksgiving for his family and just knew that food was what he always wanted to do. So he went to culinary school at the Culinary Institute of America in Baltimore. He did apprenticeships overseas in Ireland. So he's really just incredible. But he grew up in Columbus, Georgia, and he is pulling in right now, which is why the dog's coming.
That's right.
So he grew up in Columbus, Georgia, which is where his love of the Southern flair of flavors comes. So that's the seasoning on the pork chop is our barbecue spice that he created it. He mixed all the spices together. So he knows the heat and the spice and the cool and the refreshing. I mean, it is really just incredible and completely unfair that he'll make me chicken and rice and it on a Tuesday and it is like a queen's meal. It's very incredible how talented and skillful he is in the kitchen.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned the Southern cuisine. So this is just a couple of items off of your menu. We have a pimento cheese and chips, delightful, catfish po' boy, grit cake and crispy pork, and then for dessert, bourbon brown butter cake. It's just
Yes.
it's a mouthful of the South. If you haven't had an opportunity to really just enjoy the culture that we have from there, and it's done this super high level. I think so many times we find, the McDonald's hamburger is, it's wrapped in the little crispy in the wax paper, and it's been sitting under heat lamps forever. But you guys have a different take on that.
Yes, we do. So, what is a heat lamp? I've never met her. We do not have any heat lamps or microwaves in the building, not even for staff use. So, everything is executed in the proper way. And we're big believers of the right thing is always the right thing, no matter how hard or uncomfortable it is at the time. And so that philosophy falls into the food area as well. We don't have anything mixed or ready or waiting to be served. It's all waiting to be prepared to be served. So we don't start anything until the guest decides what they want, and then we get to work.
Yeah, I love that. The right thing is always the right thing. What if, what if more people at different, just hypothetically places near Northern Virginia, Southern Maryland, in the DC area had that as their as that as their motto every day. But
Probably be
this
a
is why I
little
love
different.
small towns. Yeah. Talk to me how. All right, let's get into operations a little bit. I
Okay.
know that you have plenty of elbow grease getting your chairs sanded and refitted. That was just a huge activity for you guys. There were
Yeah.
some challenges getting the place up and running, but now you're up and running.
Mhm.
Um, how do you make sure that your staff shows up with the same energy and commitment that you do? As I coach people, the number one thing that I hear right after marketing, like, oh, we need more marketing. Then they say, how do I find good people? So, how
Mhm.
do you instill the right thing is always the right thing in your people?
That is fantastic. And we have really been truly blessed in our staff, how they came to us. I mean, really, it was either a friend of a friend or through Indeed. I mean, this is our first rodeo. So we're really just kind of throwing some things at the wall to see what sticks. But we were absolutely blown away with the staff that we landed with, front of the house and back of the house. Front of the house is important because they are our foot soldiers. They're coming in
Mm,
contact with the guests. They are answering questions, so they need to be knowledgeable of the menu. And in dealing with culinary, we have tons of allergies that we need to be mindful of. And so if someone has an allergy, we're thankful that we do have all the recipes written down. So if it's pepper or if it's gluten or whatever the case is, we can go straight to the recipe and thoroughly check and make sure that there's nothing that would be um, inconvenient or damaging. So the back of the house is important because they have to follow the recipes, and we're posting pictures. So, the burger needs to look like the picture. And so that consistency of execution in the kitchen, as well as the welcoming consistency in the front of the house, is so important. Because my worst nightmare would be you and your family would come in one week and have a phenomenal experience, and then a few weeks later you come in and you get a different server and it's just not the same. That is not the right thing. And the staff, I don't beat it into them, but I remind them frequently that the right thing is the right thing. And we are here for the guests. We're here because it is wonderful to have a great pork chop on a Tuesday for lunch. But if the service is lackluster or you don't feel appreciated, then you're not as apt to return. And we want everybody. It tickles me every time somebody comes in the door that they're with all the thousands of places, even just in our small area. Yes, there's big box stores, there's drive-throughs, there's, hot and readies. But so when people come in and choose us, it is the biggest compliment. And I do my best to make sure that everybody feels that gratitude of being seen and appreciated just for choosing us. And we reward you with a delicious pork chop.
yeah, no, I love this. I did corporate for almost 20 years, and I've been on my own doing the coaching thing for I think about 4 years now. Um, one of the things that most shocked me, and I intellectually knew that it was a thing, but it most startled me that everybody that buys from you when you're a small business is a personal event, right? They're saying we chose you because you have the best food, you have the best service, you make us feel special. We love the ambiance. Every time you make a choice to work with a small business, it is a personal choice. And in the corporate side, we have a bunch of clients, right? We have ideal client profiles. We have these amorphous people that we think about, but they're not people. Whereas the small business world, you are serving individuals who are individually choosing you over and over and over again. And I know as a
Mhm.
server, um, because I worked at McDonald's when I was in high school. I think it's such a critical knowledge of, I'm trying to make this client happy. I'm trying to make the next client happy. I'm trying to make this burger with pride. I love that. I love that.
Thanks.
Do you have any besides do the right thing, or the
Mhm.
right thing is always the right thing? Do you have any one-liners or any little things that is starting to take hold in your either your front end or your back end?
I think consistency is a top word that we find ourselves repeating a lot, for the same reason. I mean, we have the struggles at the bar as well as we do in the back of the house of, this drink has to taste the same today. It can't be different because, Elle made it or Carrie made it or Vinny made it. It has to be consistent. So I think just consistency is the right thing because we want everybody to have the same experience that, people that came week 2, we want them to have the same experience. So again, just like if the pork chop tasted different one day, that will alter your perception and your loyalty and just kind of your your thoughts of us. It's like, oh well, last time we went, it really wasn't that great. And then we fall off top of mind. You're not going to choose us. You're going to go where you know that it tastes the same all the time, every time
Yeah, no,
in
yeah,
Nashville or anywhere.
consistency. Yeah,
Yeah.
consistency. I coach the U12 soccer girls soccer team right now. My youngest daughter is in soccer, and consistency is the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I
I mean,
trust you to
it's
be
true.
there every time as a team member?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, so you've done the whole journey.
Hmm.
You financed it, you remodeled it, you hired your staff, you trained your staff, you gave away free food so that people would know you exist. You're now marketing. What was the most surprising, unexpected thing? What was the most surprising thing on this long journey to get to a regularly running shop, where you're starting to build that reputation?
I think one of my most surprising things in being marketing and with other jobs and other companies that I've worked for and with is the just outpouring of reviews and the stellar feedback that people have given us without I've never asked for a Google review, and we have I think over 100 at this point, and it's not a huge focus. Our focus is the dining experience. So while you're in our building, that's my top priorities to make sure you have everything you need and that everything is to your liking, I guess is a good way to say that. But just the people that snap those pictures before they eat, that leave reviews and actually, call out details. And it's just because we were on the other side of choosing all those details. And so for people to notice and to appreciate them, that's been probably the most surprising and delightful part of this.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the details really quick. Business is about creating value.
Mhm.
I say that it's about creating value at a discount so that we can make money while everybody else is getting the max value. How do you balance the detail? Because I know that you and CJ are a little over the top when it comes to details and when it comes to experience. Again, you could just do a lot less. You could be I don't want to pick on
Okay.
anybody, but you could be a chicken place. You could be a
Hmm.
burger place. Um, how do you balance the extra effort it takes to create those details with the operational cost of doing so and making sure that it doesn't eat into your profits?
That's excellent. And what comes to mind is for birthdays, anniversaries, anytime you celebrate, we not only will bring your dessert out with the candle, but we also have a card that the staff signs. And I handwrite, thank you so much for celebrating with us. And I sign our names and then I pass it to the staff. So, yes, that is effort to do. And I do get cramps in my hand from writing hundreds of cards at a time. But the payoff of delivering a card with the dessert for somebody's birthday into the multiple decades, it's so tiny and it blows people away that it doesn't even seem like effort at the end of the day. It's kind of like labor and delivery. Once you have the baby, it's like you completely forget about everything because you have this just adorable bundle of joy. And I feel like, yes, there have been some thorns in our sides, the chairs being one of them, sanding down 30 years of use to refresh and restain. That was definitely a project that we complained about a lot while it was going on, and you heard a lot of that.
Yeah, that was like a
It,
month-long effort or something like that. I mean, like, we
it
talked about it a lot.
yes, it was a job, but the chairs are beautiful, and part of the reason that they're red is because one of the shoe fitting stools that we found from the department store had a red cushion on it. So tying in those details.
Mhm.
The other shoe fitting stool was green, so our bar stools are green. So working in those little details and letting the building have some say, I guess you could go with, as well as making sure that it's comfortable, that CJ and I and Kennedy would want to go there. And so just the comfort, but also the small little details has really made it what it is.
That's funny. I'm reminded, as you mentioned, that you and CJ and Kennedy would want to go there yourselves.
Mhm.
Is that the story, the hype that's been in the news lately about the McDonald's CEO that won't take a bite of his own burger? Yeah, you should be deeply proud of your own product and excited to go there yourself. Um, I absolutely love it. We're running a little bit short on time, so I want to give you the floor here for a second just to talk to the audience. Tell them what it's like to be an entrepreneur trying to bring back something really valuable to the city and to be a kind of a leader and a beacon for those that are following after you.
Yes. Well, we are very happy and excited to be on Main Street and in seeing the other towns around us kind of grow and develop their downtown. I think the same thing is possible for Nicholasville. And so we're very happy to be kind of one of the forefront along with the Mercantile Coffee and Feed. They've been there for several years and really flagship this. So we're excited to be the next business and looking forward to other businesses joining us on downtown Main Street. But I love our burger personally, and I eat our food Tuesday through Saturday. I told several people the worst part about Mondays and Sundays is that I almost inevitably will have a craving for our burger, and I have to wait until Tuesday to eat it. So, Tuesday, my meal is our burger. We just switched and we have local Kentucky beef Wagyu that we are now using for our burger. It's incredible. I really didn't think it could get any more delicious, but it is. So if you've had it before, I encourage you to come back and try it again. But we, again, are just passionate in doing things the right way. So from scratch, by hand, we are an ingredient kitchen. You're not going to see a gallon of ranch. You're going to see it in a container because we mixed it and put it all together to make it the delicious. Our ranch is phenomenal, by the way, um, along with all of our dressings. But pretty much the ketchup, mayonnaise, and mustard are the only things we don't touch. They're good on their own. We leave that to Heinz. They've been doing a great job for a long time, so we don't mess with that. But all of our other sauces and seasonings, the breading on the chicken, that's my husband created it. So from the whipped cream to the crust, start to finish, everything is by hand and everything is really done the right way. And without heat lamps and microwaves, we cook it and we get it right out to you. So it really is an incredible experience, and it's crazy to watch. And there's so many times at the end of the day, we'll be sitting on the sofa and we'll just look at each other and be like, we have a restaurant. It's just crazy and wild to think about all the things that have gone into it and all the dozens of people that have been on this journey with us, whether it's an encouraging word or elbow grease on the chairs with us. It has just been a wild journey, and we're still just getting started. I mean, we're only 7 months in, and we already have several award nominations and local, organizations, and it's just crazy and incredible. And I'm so thankful and blessed to be on this journey.
I love it. Listen, Carrie is being too modest. I've got to watch her on this whole journey. She and CJ started out with a dream, the American dream, which is to make something super valuable that they wanted, that they knew the community would want, and then they fought through it. And several times, I maybe suggested that it wasn't, maybe it was time to throw in the towel, but they had the grit to push through. And now they have this beautiful little shop. It's got so much history in it, all the little details. They're not manufactured details like when you go to, again, we won't name any of them, but maybe Pearbees or something like that, where they're trying to be cute. This is actual authentic Americana at its best, bringing back soul on Maine. If you're in the Nicholasville area, or you find yourself in the Nicholasville area and you want a pork chop or a burger that is absurdly good, inappropriately good, you should reach out to Carrie. Tell him you saw him on the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. Go have yourself a pork chop, enjoy it, and remember, this is why we play the game. This is why we play the great game of business, because at the end of the day, it's about people and it's about providing value to each other. And we're going to be here in 50 years. So let's do something that's meaningful. With that, we are out.